Hey guys, welcome back to the Has Project. I'm John Rodolaza, and we're here finally at the finale of Invincible Season 1. Let's talk about it. Spoilers for this episode if you have not checked it out yet, or if you just haven't checked out the show in general, I highly recommend it. If you have Amazon Prime, you got Prime Video. Just on the animation and the voice acting alone, this whole show is worth it. It's worth your time, so go watch it, guys. Then come back to my videos so we can talk about the nitty-gritty spoilers. If you've seen my last few reviews on Invincible, you know I've been talking about the scene that I've been waiting for, which is the scene where Mark finds out what his father really is, a murderous psychopath. I've been waiting for that scene since the end of the cliffhanger at episode 1, and we get it, but it's not a scene. It is an episode. This entire episode is essentially what I was thinking about for a scene when he finds out about Nolan's true nature. And it was just spread across this entire episode. I did not expect that to happen. The episode picks up where the last one left off, where Omni-Man murdered a mortal again. He sliced him in half, actually. I know in my last video I just said he punched a hole through him. I totally forgot that he sliced him in half, and then both halves just fell to the ground. It opens up with the blood just raining on the grass, and then both halves just falling on the ground. And then Nolan flies up to Mark. He says, we need to talk, and then he starts to explain to him the true origins of Viltrumite and all that. The story that he told his family, Mark and Debbie, isn't far off from the truth, except for one major caveat, is that Viltrumites are terrible people. They ravage planets, they ravage their own people to get rid of the weak links so that they could breed with the stronger members of their race and just become this unstoppable empire. It is absolutely insane. Nolan kind of breaks it down in a sense that the Viltrumite Empire sends their warriors down to planets so they can conquer them, and that's essentially what he was working towards when he started a family with Debbie. But it's just the way he went about doing it. He lived amongst the humans and toed with their emotions, especially Debbie's in this episode. She is the most distraught when she hears this news because she's with Cecil and his little agency the whole time, and they got eyes and ears everywhere, so they're seeing everything, they're hearing everything, and she hears every single word that Nolan has to say about him and his people and how they really are. It's truly some heartbreaking stuff, and we see Mark break down into tears. He doesn't know how to take this news, and it's only made worse when Nolan starts to beat on his son, Mark, because he doesn't snap into this mindset of, oh, you're right, Dad, we're Viltrumites, we gotta screw over the humans. There's just a true dick nature about Nolan Grayson, Omni-Man, in this episode, and it's on full display, dude. He beats the crap out of Mark in this episode just to knock some sense into him, and he's not letting up. Invincible is taking the hits. He's trying to fight back on his dad, but dude, he's not landing a single punch, or at least when he does, it doesn't do anything, because Omni-Man's freaking Omni-Man. It gets to the point where Mark's world breaking down on him mentally and emotionally becomes an act. Like we see Omni-Man destroying cities as he's trying to knock some sense into his own son. He puts him in front of a train, and the train just starts going right through them. All the people are dying, there's blood everywhere, and he's just trying to tell them, dude, you're gonna live for 1,000 years. These people don't matter. There's specks in a lifetime. Within all of Omni-Man's rambling, you begin to realize how much he didn't care about anything. He doesn't care about Debbie. He said, in the grand scheme of things, no, she doesn't matter much at all. And that was truly heartbreaking. The thing that got me the most in this episode, it wasn't just the entire episode overall, but there still was a moment that really hit me, and it wasn't any of this fighting between Omni-Man and Invincible. It was the flashback that they showed as Omni-Man is punching blood out of his son. It's just spewing all over the ground. They cut to a flashback of this kid playing baseball, and it's Mark. It's Mark as a little kid. He's got a tooth missing and everything, and they show Debbie on the bleachers with the other parents. She's got her hair down. She looks over and sees Nolan just standing there with his arms crossed. She goes over to talk to him and says, what are you doing? You gotta come sit up here. It's weird that you're just standing all about over here. And then he just starts to complain, saying, this is pointless. We could be doing so many other things, like training him or whatnot. And he obviously wants to train him to become a ruthless Viltrumite like he is. But in this scene, Debbie is trying to explain to Nolan that this is our son though, and he's feeling joy right now, and when he feels joy, we feel joy. That's parenting. And as we see Nolan stand there with his arms crossed, he's watching Mark strike out twice, and then he finally hits the ball, and he's hitting all the bases, he's avoiding the ball at all costs, and he finally makes it back home on the home plate, and it puts a smile on Nolan's face. And I don't know what, there's just so many emotions in that little moment that, yes, he is a murderous monster, but even Nolan realized that he does care about his son to some degree. He cares about him more than just prepping him to be this ruthless Viltrumite. He actually cared about him, and it was that memory that it seemed like it came from Nolan, because right when the memory finished, he stopped beating on his son. He stopped beating on his son, and his son, Mark, was breathing very sporadically. Like, he was trying his best to get some air into his system. He was all covered in blood. He was missing teeth. And then Nolan just starts blaming it on him, saying, why did you make me do this? Why couldn't you understand that none of these people matter? He's now blaming his beatdown on his son. This is not your average superhero story where the superhero comes out on top on the villain. No, there was no way in hell Omni-Man was going down in this episode. Literally nobody in this Invincible universe that we've been introduced to in the show is able to stop Omni-Man, so it was just not going to happen. By his own will, he just flies away from the planet, and as he leaves the atmosphere, all the blood comes off his body and tears come out of his eyes. So you know that Nolan felt something. It wasn't the most action-packed episode of the entire season, but it was my favorite one. It started off really great, and as Invincible didn't really get to fight a whole lot because he wasn't distraught over the realization of who his father really is. That's all I wanted in the show. I wanted him to find out the truth, and because I knew that was going to be the best part. And it was. The voice acting by Stephen Ewan and Sandra Oh in this episode, who play Mark and Debbie, is fantastic. You need fantastic voices for animated projects. And everyone in this show is casted very well. They all have nice dynamic voices. Even Walton Goggins. Like, I never liked Walton Goggins, but he's great in the show. As for the second part of the episode, it's really just Mark recuperating from his injuries and the Guardians of the Globe trying to do better and trying to be better for the world. And Mark is looking at pictures of the family with Debbie and Nolan, and he's thinking about when he used to say, I want to be just like you, Dad. And then he gets flashes of earlier in the episode when he was getting beaten by his dad. Overall, I think this show is going out on top with the best episode because I thought it was really freaking good. And I'm even more excited now because it was just recently announced that Invincible was renewed for not just season 2, but season 3. I'm excited to see where the show goes, and I'm already invested to see what they're doing with the Earthbound villains, and whenever Omni-Man decides to come back, wherever the hell he went, I don't know, maybe he's going to get more Viltrumites. That's going to be insane. I cannot wait for the next season, but it's probably not going to come out for another year, so. Anyways, guys, let me know down below, what did you think of the finale of Invincible Season 1? Have you seen it yet? Have you checked out the show? I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's great animation, great voice acting, and just a great story overall. It will tug at the heartstrings, especially this finale. And I apologize if I spoiled it for you just now. So leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and be sure to stick around because I'm going to be covering Star Wars The Bad Batch next week. We got 2 episodes coming. We got one 70-minute premiere on Tuesday and then an episode on Friday, and it's just going to keep going on Fridays. Eventually it's going to knock into Loki, which is gonna be too much. Be sure to check out my Falcon and Winter Soldier reviews. I just wrapped up that series. A spoiler review is coming for episode 6, the finale, and I also have a spoiler review for Mortal Kombat 2021 coming, and a bunch of other unboxings. Way too much content, so you might want to stick around because there's always more to come.